The operation can also be demonstrated using a NPN BJT in a very similar way. So let us do it very quickly. Let us have a NPN BJT. So this is the construction diagram of NPN BJT. We have in NPN BJT a N-type emitter layer, of which a emitter terminal is there, and we have a P-type base layer. So here we have the base terminal, and we have a N-type collector layer, of which let this be the collector terminal. And in a very similar way, the emitter base junction has to be forward biased. So to do the forward bias, we have to apply a DC power supply of this sort. So the positive terminal is connected to the base P layer, and the negative potential is given to the emitter N layer. So positive potential is given to the base P layer, and the negative potential is given to the emitter N layer from the DC bias VEE. And the base collector PN junction has to be reverse biased, and to reverse bias we have a DC battery of this polarity, so that P is at lower potential than the N-type material, and that sort of biasing is provided by this VCC. So at this point, this base collector PN junction is reverse biased, and emitter base PN junction is forward biased. So in such a situation, what happens? The majority charge carriers of N-type material, which is electrons, they under the effect of this negative potential make a movement towards the P-type material, P-type base material. So those electrons, those majority electrons of N-type move from N to P. But whatever electrons they are coming to this P layer, they add to the minority charge carriers of the P layer, because the P layer, base P layer has minority charge carriers as electrons, and whatever electrons are majority electrons also, although these are the majority charge carriers of N-type material, when they come over here to the P layer, they are adding to the minority charge carrier concentration of this P layer. And because of this reverse bias provided to this PN junction, base collector PN junction, whatever minority charge carriers come over here, are present in here, they are pushed to the N layer by this reverse bias. Due to this negative potential of this VCC, those electrons, minority charge carriers electrons, are pushed to the N layer. So there is a further movement of the electrons from P to N. So you can see here, of course there will be a movement, very small amount of electrons that will be in the direction of B terminal, the base terminal. Why the number of electrons moving in the B direction is very less? The reason being very similar to the case of P and P BJT, because the base layer is very thin in width and very low doping levels, so which provides a very less conductive path through this base terminal. The resistivity for charge carriers is high in the base terminal, so the IB current has to be very less. So electrons movement, if it is in this direction, whatever less electrons are moving in this direction, the direction of current has to be shown in this direction, because conventionally the direction of current is opposite to the direction of the negative charge carriers. So IB direction is in this direction. So what can you say about the emitter current direction? In the emitter layer, the electrons are moving from left to right, so the emitter current direction is in this direction, IE. The collector current direction, by the same reasoning, you can say the collector current direction is in the direction of IC, is in this direction. So here also we can write the Kirchhoff's current law, as we wrote down in the case of PNP BJT, that IE is equals to IC plus IB. This equation also stays correct in the case of NPN BJT. So it works both for NPN as well as PNP BJT. And here also we can break down the collector current into two components, that is IC majority plus ICO minority. So ICO minority, what is ICO minority? Let us discuss. Yeah, you can very much relate because you have seen a condition in the last place in the PNP BJT case. ICO minority is simply that collector current that exists in the absence of any emitter current, or you can say when this if we place a switch over here, and this switch is open, if this switch is open circuit, or you can say this VEE is absent, that means there is no VEE to push the electrons from majority electrons from N to P. So in such a case, whatever collector current exists, that is ICO minority, or you can say ICO minority is due to those magnetic carriers of this base P layer which are already there in the P layer before it was added up with the extra electrons which move from N to P due to this biasing arrangement. So whatever originally this P layer was having magnetic charge carrier electrons, when they make a movement under this reverse bias condition from this P layer to N layer, then whatever current results, that is ICO minority. And then when we close this switch, there is an extra amount of electrons that move from this N layer, emitter N layer, to this P layer, and then in the effect of this reverse bias, those electrons also move from P to N. So the additional that component which results into IC current, that comprise the IC majority. So in total the IC is due to two components, that is IC majority and plus due to ICO minority. So you can also write down ICO minority is simply that collector current which exists when IE is equals to 0. That means when this switch is open circuited. That means there is no VEE to affect this PN junction. So now you can here very well conclude that whatever we discussed in the case of PNP BJT, the NPN BJT operation is very similar to it. The only difference being first difference is the direction of the currents has changed. The IE, IB and IC current directions has now changed while compared to the PNP BJT case. And what else? Now whatever was the role of holes in the PNP BJT, that role is being played by the electrons in the NPN BJT and the vice versa. And what else difference is there? The polarity of the VEE and VCC. So what is then common? What is the common thing in between the NPN BJT and PNP BJT? The common thing is that in both the operations we are keeping the emitter base junction forward biased and base collector junction reverse biased. Okay, in both NPN BJT operation and PNP BJT operation we kept the emitter base junction forward biased and collector base junction reverse biased. And what more is common in between both the cases? This equation plays correctly in both the cases. This equation also plays very appropriately in both the cases. IC equals to IC majority plus ICO minority. So this is true, this equation is true for both NPN and PNP BJT. Okay, so let us move to the next topic, and which is BJT configurations. We'll learn about the different configurations in which we can place a BJT into a circuit. So we are now very clear about the construction as well as operation of BJT, both PNP as well as NPN BJT. And we'll be going to BJT configurations. When we are going to BJT configuration, we are starting off with using the BJT in circuits. And up till now we have been, wherever we are referring to, wherever we were representing the BJT in the circuit, up till now we have been using the same construction diagram in the circuit also, but it is not a used to practice. Commonly in texts, whenever you will be referring to BJT circuits, the circuit symbol is used and not the construction diagram itself in the circuits. So as you know that although the construction diagram of the diode, for example in the case of PN junction diode, the construction diagram of the PN junction was like this: PN, the P type material gave you a terminal, the anode terminal, and the N type material gave you the cathode terminal. But while using diodes in the circuits, in the circuit representation, you always used the circuit representation of the diode, and it was like this. So this was the anode terminal and this was the cathode terminal. So this one is circuit symbol. This is the circuit symbolic representation of the PN junction diode. And whenever we are drawing a circuit using a diode, we use this circuit symbol of the diode in the circuit and not this construction diagram representation of the diode. In the similar way, in the case of BJTs also, we will use circuit symbol of BJTs rather than using the construction diagram. So as up till now we were using a PNP construction diagram like this for a representation of the PNP BJT in a circuit, and which is not a convenient way of representing the circuits involving BJT. So what we'll do, we'll use the circuit symbol. So let us be very clear about the circuit symbols for BJTs. What is the specific circuit symbol for the PNP BJT and what is the specific circuit symbol for the NPN BJT. So for PNP BJT, although this is the construction diagram representation of the PNP BJT, the symbolic representation of the circuit symbolic representation of PNP BJT will look somewhat like this. So here we had the emitter, base and collector terminal. So in the case of circuit symbol representation, we'll have this emitter terminal, collector terminal and the base terminal. So this is base, this is collector and this is emitter. And in the emitter terminal, so if you'll draw it like this, the emitter and the collector look very similar. So to make the difference to be noted in the symbol, we use a arrow symbol like this. PNP BJT will have a down facing emitter to base facing arrow in the circuit symbol of the PNP BJT, and this whole arrangement is kept in a circular shape. The circular shape has the significance that it represents the package within which the semiconductor layers are confined. So the circular enclosure is to represent the package, out of which to the exterior we have the emitter terminal, base terminal and the collector terminal. So whatever is inside the package is not visible from outside physically. Okay, so that is the importance of giving a circular shape and circling these three lines, which is a part of the BJT PNP BJT symbol. So what is the importance of this arrow? What is the importance of this arrow symbol? Like it is, you can very much relate the arrow symbol over here in the case of BJT to what was the significance of arrow symbol in the case of PN junction diode. In the PN junction diode, the arrow was in the direction of forward current. When the forward current, when does the forward current exists? When the PN junction is forward biased. So the arrow symbolized the direction of forward current when the PN junction was forward biased. Similarly, this is the base layer in this symbol of the PNP BJT. In this symbol, this line represents the base layer, this line represents the collector layer, and this line represents the emitter layer. So here we have a junction from P to N, and when this PN junction is forward biased, the current flows from P to N, and that is what this arrow symbolizes. So in any BJT, the arrow, whatever may be the direction of arrow, it appears in the emitter layer. It appears in the representation of the emitter layer in the circuit symbol, and it faces in the direction from P to N junction in the emitter side of the circuit symbol. Similarly, if we have a NPN BJT, we know that the construction wise the NPN BJT will look somewhat like this. In the middle we have the P, here we have N, and we have N. So let's say this is emitter terminal, this is collector terminal, and this is base terminal. So in this case, if you want to have the circuit symbol, if you want to have the circuit symbol for the NPN BJT, it will look somewhat like this. We have the base representation, we have the emitter representation, we have the collector representation, we have terminals out of the package. So where is the package? Package has to be represented by a circle. Mine may not look like a proper circle, but it is a circle if you can draw it properly, and the arrows will be pointing outside. The arrow will be pointing outside. Okay, let me draw in a more better way. The same thing I am trying to draw in a more better way. So this is how it should look like. So the arrow is pointing outside, and we have a circle to represent the package. So forget this. This was not looking nice. Okay. This is emitter terminal, this is collector terminal, and this is base terminal. So why this arrow is pointing outside? I told you that arrow has to appear in the representation of the emitter layer in the symbol, and it has to point in the direction of forward current in that particular in the involved PN junction. So here in the with the emitter layer, the PN junction involved is this PN junction, and when this PN junction is forward biased, the direction of current will be from P to N, and so is the direction of arrow is towards outside to represent the current's direction in the emitter terminal. So we are very clear about the circuit symbol of the PNP BJT, which is this, and we are very clear about the circuit symbol of the NPN BJT, and which is this. So you should not confuse. PNP BJT has a arrow facing downwards, and NPN BJT will have a arrow facing outwards of the emitter terminal. So in BJTs, whether we have a PNP BJT or an NPN BJT, in each case we can have three types of BJT configurations. Uh, we have three terminals in a BJT, and so we have three types of BJT configuration. The types being the common base configuration, common emitter configuration, and common collector configuration. So for each terminal we name a configuration. For each terminal of the BJT we have common that thing configuration that we have. So first of all, let us discuss the common base configuration. uh, what you see on the screen is a common base configuration of PNP BJT here. So here we have PNP BJT, and the base terminal, you can see this is the input side and this is the output side, and the base is common between the input and the output side. Common means the here emitter base PN junction with this DC bias completes a circuit which comprises the input loop, whereas the collector base PN junction along with this DC bias completes a circuit which is your output loop. So in this input side and the output side, what is common is the base. The base terminal is common to the input side and output side, and the base has been connected to the ground reference. So you can say whatever is input here is IE. Input current is IE. So IE is the input, whereas IC is the output in this circuitry. And the DC bias which results into IE and the DC bias which supports IC has a common ground, has a common reference, and the reference ground is connected to the base terminal. So when we say that it is a common base configuration, we are trying to point out that base is common between the input side and the output side of the circuitry, and the base is closest, or you can say it is connected to the ground reference in the circuit. So if you'll see similarly in the NPN BJT also the same thing, NPN BJT connected in common base configuration. The base type P material is connected to the ground reference, and it is common to the input circuit and the output circuit. The input circuit comprising this emitter base PN junction and the DC bias VEE, and the output circuit comprising the PN junction, collector base PN junction with the VCC. So this completes a circuit, and this is what we call the output circuit or output loop, and here we have the input loop. So the input current, if we want to say, it is again IE, and the output current is again IC. So how the current how the DC bias polarity has been kept, on what basis the DC bias polarities has been assigned in these circuits. So for that you can do it very simply if you use the rule of thumb. The one way is what we have already discussed, how we assign the DC power supply polarities. The another way is very quick and very simple, and it's a rule of thumb actually. So what we can do, we just can draw the BJT symbol, the circuit symbol, to replace the PNP. In this circuit we have used the construction diagram, but it is not the preferred way. We should always, while doing a circuit, we should use the circuit symbol rather than using the construction diagram. So what we'll do, we'll replace this construction diagram in this circuit by the circuit symbol. So here we show the circuit symbol. So if you have the PNP BJT circuit symbol, in the emitter layer the arrow points downwards towards the base layer, and this is the whole symbol, and the arrow shows the direction of emitter current in the emitter layer of the BJT. So we are very certain by this, looking into this, that the emitter current has to be from left to right in this conductor. So IE is very much fixed. Then again, if we already know that in any BJT, IE has to be equals to IC plus IB. That means whatever, if IE is incoming to this node, if you treat this BJT as a BJT which is a package as a node to which three currents are to which we can relate three currents, a node to which we can relate three currents, and we already know the equation IE is equals to IC plus IB. Then we already know that if whatever is the direction of IE, opposite is the direction of IC and IB. That means if IE is outgoing, IC and IB must be incoming to the node. If IE is incoming, then IC and IB must be outgoing of the node. So by the same concept, here we are very ascertained that IE is incoming to the BJT, or you can say, if you treat it as a node, IE is incoming to this node. So if IE is incoming, IC must be outgoing. So we are certain that IC has to be outgoing. Again, IB has to be outgoing also according to this Kirchhoff's current law, which is true for all BJTs. So IB has to be outgoing. So we started off with not knowing what should be the current directions, and then we are at this point we are fully aware of what should be the current directions in the BJT. So this is the first step in determining the DC power supply polarities. So again, if I'll try to revise, initially we do not know what is the direction of IE, IB and IC, and looking into the circuit symbol, what is the direction of arrow. Since it is a PNP BJT, the arrow symbol is downwards, and that helped me to know that IE current in this branch will be incoming to support this symbol. And then by this Kirchhoff's current law, I could say that if IE is incoming, IC and IB must be outgoing of this BJT. So once I do this, I will look into this IE and IC. So what polarity of power supply will result a current in this direction in this very input loop. So obviously the current direction is, if it is in this direction, DC power supply polarity must be like this, and this is what it appears here, plus minus. Only this polarity of VEE will ascertain a IE current in this direction. So we have made out what should be the polarity of VEE. Similarly, how can we fix the polarity of VCC? Suppose we didn't know what is the polarity. So how to ascertain that? So we have made sure that IC has to be coming outwards of the package. So what polarity of DC power supply VCC will result into a current in this direction in this loop? So obviously this side positive and this side negative. So this is what VCC should be, and this is what we see here. VCC has the polarity such that this side it is positive and this side is negative, and base has to be common because it's a common base configuration, so it is connected to the reference ground. So this, in this way you can ascertain what should be the direction of currents and what kind of DC power supply VEE and VCC you should fix to look at you can fix that so that the BJT is in common base configuration. Now coming on to the NPN BJT, we can do the similar analysis. We have to make it put the NPN in the common base configuration. So base is common, and common between the input loop and the output loop. The input loop comprising the emitter base PN junction along with the DC power supply VEE. The output loop comprising the base collector PN junction along with the VCC. And since it's a common base configuration, base is common between the input side and the output side, and the base is connected to the reference ground. So suppose at the start we are not aware what is the direction of IE, IB and IC, and we are not aware of the DC power supply polarities VEE and VCC. So how will we fix it? Only when we are aware of the thing that we are using a NPN BJT. So by using the NPN BJT symbol, it will look somewhat like this. So in the symbol itself, the arrow is outwards of the package from the emitter layer representation of the symbol. So this makes me to reach to a point where I can know that IE is in this direction. The IE has to support the direction of the arrow in the symbol. So IE has to be coming outside of the BJT package or the node representing the BJT package. So if IE is coming outwards, so by the Kirchhoff's current law which we have been following, and it is true for all the BJTs, so IE again we can refer to this IE is equals to IC plus IB. So if IE is coming outwards, IC and IB should be incoming to the BJT, which is treated as a node. So IB is in this direction and IC is in this direction. So once we are very sure about the directions of IE, IC and IB, I can easily fix the direction of, or you can say polarity of the DC power supplies. So what polarity of the DC power supply will allow me to have a current in this direction? Obviously we should have a DC power supply whose polarity is negative this side and positive this side. So this is the polarity of VEE, and the same thing we are looking at here. So again coming to the output loop, we have IC direction in this going inwards to the package, BJT package. So what polarity of DC power supply will ascertain that? Obviously this side negative and this side positive will let the IC current to be in this direction, to be in this direction. So we fix this DC power supply polarity. So this is VCC. So it is simply what we are looking at here, and because it's a common base configuration, it should be the base terminal should be put to the reference ground. So this is how we configure a BJT, whether PNP BJT or NPN BJT, in the common base configuration. The complete behavior of the BJT in a common base configuration can be described using two sets of characteristics. One is input characteristics and the other being the output characteristics. Input characteristics and the output characteristics. In the input characteristics, we plot a curve, or you can say a set of curves to show the variation of the input current with the input voltage VBE. That means we plot IE versus VBE. input current IE versus the base to emitter voltage VBE for different values of the output VCB voltage, for different values of VCB. So what is input characteristics? Input characteristics are the such curves plotted IE versus VBE. So what are the input characteristics? So what is input characteristics? It is the plot of curves between the input current IE versus the input voltage VBE for different values of output voltage VCB. So for each value of VCB will get a curve. For each value of VCB will get a curve. So how IE varies with VBE, for each value of VCB will give a specific different curve. So this input characteristics basically is a set of curves, not a single curve. So it is a set of curves because it shows the variation of IE versus VBE for different values of VCB, and for each value of VCB we'll get a corresponding curve on this plot. You can refer to this input characteristic curve over here. So as I said, this is IE versus VBE. In x-axis I have VBE and in y-axis I have IE. So VBE is in volts, IE is in milliamperes, and for different values of VCB I am getting a different curve. So here VCB was 1 volt, so I got a IE varying with VBE like this. So when VCB is equals to 10 volt, I got IE varying with VBE like this manner. When VCB is equals to 20 volt, I got IE varying with VBE in this manner. So I have 3 curves, and similarly I can draw numerous curves for different values of each corresponding to a different value of VCB. So what we do, we see here that although there is a small amount of difference with due to different value of VCB, the difference is not so much. And for approximation, to make things simpler, what we do, we approximate that there is very less of a difference due to variation in VCB, that we can think that it doesn't make any much difference, and so much less that we can ignore. So we say that for any VCB it is more or less the IE varying with VB is almost similar. So we represent the entire thing with a single curve. So obviously this is not the accurate but a approximate way of representing the input characteristics, that is IE varying with VB for different values of VCB. So this is a approximate but makes things simpler when we are doing calculations. So this is for different values of VCB, we ignore the small differences that is made by the different values of VCB, and we make out a single curve to represent for any VCB. So this is a approximate representation of this. Then like we had been doing in the diode cases, we can apply the piecewise linear approximation to this curve, and we get a curve like this. This is the piecewise linear approximation model of this input characteristics. So IE in milliampere, VBE in volts again, but it has been made piecewise linear. The same curve has been made out as piecewise linear curve. So adding to one more layer of approximation, what we can do, we can ignore the slope of this curve, of this linear curve. So this slope of the curve gives us the resistance of the base emitter PN junction. So this represents the resistance of the base emitter PN junction, and this resistance is so less, so we can think of ignoring the amount of resistance. So if you calculate the resistance is very less, and so it allows us to ignore that part of the resistance, and hence the slope can be made like this. That means this represents zero resistance. This is a slope for a small resistance, and this is a slope for a zero resistance. So we ignore the resistance part in this representation of the curve, and that gives us this approximate model of the input characteristics of the BJT. So in representing like this, we mean to say that whenever the PN junction is on, the VBE is exactly 0.7 volt for any current fixed by the outer circuitry. So when the base emitter junction is on, VB is automatically will take it as 0.7 volt only in our calculations, and IE can be anything but that is fixed by the circuitry outside the PNP BJT. So IE is ascertained by the external circuitry, and for any value of IE, VBE has to be 0.7 volt once the PN junction is on. The complete behavior of a three-terminal device, in our case the BJT, can be described, or you can say that it can be characterized by using two characteristics. One is input characteristics and the other is the output characteristics. The input characteristics, just before some time we discussed, and it is basically a set of curves which shows you the variation of the input current IE with the input voltage VBE for different values of VCB. So this is the input characteristics for the common base configuration of the three-terminal device, that is BJT. Similarly, we have output characteristics of the BJT configured in the common base configuration. So we have these characteristics, the input characteristics and output characteristics for the BJT for every configuration. Now we are discussing about common base configuration. For common base configuration, the BJT has input characteristics and output characteristics. Similarly, for the common emitter configuration, we'll have the input characteristics and output characteristics of the BJT. Similarly, for the common collector configuration also, we'll have the input characteristics and the output characteristics of the BJT. So for the common base configuration, since we have already discussed about the input characteristics for the common base configuration of the BJT, now let us go to discussing the output characteristics in the case of common base configuration of the BJT. The output characteristics of the BJT in common base configuration is a plot between the output current IC versus the output voltage VCB. So it is a plot between the output current IC versus the output voltage VCB. So on y-axis we have the output current IC, and on the x-axis we have the output voltage VCB, and we do this plot for different values of the input current IE. So we have multiple curves, and each curve is corresponding to some IE value. IE0 will get some curve, for some different value IE1 will get a different curve representing the variation of IC with VCB. For IE2 will again have a curve how the IC varies with VCB, and likewise we'll have numerous curves for a different value of the input current IE. So the set of such curves showing how the IC varies with VCB for different values of the input current IE comprises the output characteristics. A typical output characteristics of a BJT configured in common base configuration will look somewhat like these characteristics. Okay, this is exactly what I was saying. It is how this output characteristic shows how the IC varies with respect to the VCB, how the output current IC varies with the output voltage VCB for different values of IE. So we have, for every value of IE, we will have a corresponding curve. When IE is equals to 0, we have this blue curve. When IE is equals to 1 milliampere, then we have this curve. For IE is equals to 2 milliampere, we have this curve. For IE is equals to 3 milliampere, we have this curve, and likewise. So for every value of IE, we have a corresponding curve which shows for that value of IE how the IC changes when we change the VCB. So by keeping certain value of IE constant, we can check how the IC varies when we increase the VCB values. This set of all these curves will comprise the output characteristics. It is another thing that how many curves and for which values of IE we want the plot. According to that only we make the output characteristics, but basically it comprises of several IC versus VCB curve and each corresponding to a certain value of IE. Then the output characteristics of the BJT in the common base configuration can be divided into certain regions which we can identify. So we have three basic regions, and those regions are active region, cutoff region, and saturation region. So the entire output characteristics can be subdivided into three regions. What are those regions? Those regions are saturation region, active region, and the cutoff region. So let us discuss the behavior of the characteristics in each of the regions. So in the active region, this is the region curves are almost linear. For any value of IE, if you'll see in the active region, the curve is quite linear. The curves are linear, and this region of the output characteristics is used for the designing of amplifiers, because in the amplifiers we want linear operation. So we use the linear part of the output characteristics for designing of amplifiers. So this is the important region when we are concerned with designing amplifier circuits with the bipolar junction transistors. So that is the significance of active region. In the active region, if you'll see, when IE is equals to 0 milliampere, the IC is almost equal to 0 for any variation of VCB. So whatever increase you will make for VCB, when the IE is equals to 0, the IC is almost 0. So what is the reason behind that? Let us discuss that. So when IE is equals to 0, the BJT is basically off. The BJT is basically off. So whatever collector current results is only due to the minority charge carriers and not due to the majority charge carriers. The collector current is due to the minority charge carriers and not due to the majority charge carriers. So we can write in that case that IC is equals to ICO. ICO is the minority charge carrier current. That is, IC is equals to ICO when it takes place when IE is equals to 0. We have already discussed when IE is equals to 0, we can show it by an open circuit over here, and in that case the majority charge carriers cannot move from the emitter layer to the base layer. So whatever minority charge carriers are there in the base layer, they only contribute to the collector current, and that's why the IC is simply because of those minority charge carriers, and we'll call it ICO, and we call it ICO. And this ICO current is very small current. It is typically in the range of microampere range, or it is in a nanoampere range. It is in the microampere range or it is in the nanoampere range. And if you see over here, IC in the y-axis is in the milliampere range. So such a small IC only contributed due to ICO ranging in the microampere range will be so less of a magnitude so that it looks almost flat on the x-axis. So basically what actually happens, when for IE is equals to 0 milliampere, IC is a finite quantity and IC is equals to ICO, and that too in microampere. So it is so less that it looks almost flat on the x-axis, but it is a finite amount of collector current. Then when we try to increase the IE, let's say when we increase the IE to 1 milliampere, then we have made this circuit closed. So in that case, the majority charge carriers can move from the emitter layer to the base layer, so that majority charge carriers are now contributing to the collector current. In that case, we have a IC which is typically in the range of milliampere range, and we already know that IE is equals to IC plus IB, and we have discussed that this IB is in the microampere range. So what we get is IE is almost very close to the collector current, and that is what we see in rest of the curves. When IE is more than 0 milliampere, that is when let's say we are taking the case of IE is equals to 1 milliampere, we are able to see that IE is equals to IC. So you can see for this curve, when IE is equals to 1 milliampere in the active region, the corresponding IC is equals to 1 milliampere almost. This curve is almost parallel to the x-axis, and this current is actually IC equals to almost 1 milliampere. And we also note down that for the entire variation of VCB, IC doesn't change much. For the entire variation of the VCB, IC doesn't change much in the output characteristics. So in the active region, when IE is more than 0 milliampere, IC is almost equals to IE, and the reason we have just discussed. Then what is cutoff region? Cutoff region is that region of the output characteristics which shows the condition of the BJT in the common base configuration when we can say that transistor is off. We already know that when IE is equals to 0 milliampere, the output current is simply because of the minority charge carriers. IC is simply ICO. So we can say that for I equals to 0 or less, for IE is equals to 0 milliampere or less, the BJT is in off condition, or we can say it is in cutoff condition. So the region in the output characteristics below the curve corresponding to IE is equals to 0 milliampere comprises the cutoff region. After discussing the active region and cutoff region in the output characteristics of the BJT in common base configuration, let us go on to discussing the saturation region. So saturation region is marked by that region of the output characteristics to the left of VCB equals to 0. So VCB is equals to 0 at this point, and to the left of VCB equals to 0, whatever region is there, that goes to the saturation region. That goes to the saturation region. And in this region, if you see the curves, for any value of IE you take, let's say you take the value of IE equals to 3 milliampere, here the IC increases exponentially as you increase the VCB towards VCB equals to 0. So for any value of IE, you take the curve, you take any curve corresponding to some value of IE, whether it may be for 6 milliampere, 5 milliampere or 4 milliampere. So whichever curve you select in the saturation region, you will try to spot the very behavior of the curve. You will see that any curve shows an exponential rise of collector current with increase in VCB towards 0 volts. Also, it is important to be aware of what is the condition of the PN junctions in 3 of these identified regions. In the active region, when the BJT in a common base configuration is in active region, the base emitter PN junction is forward biased and the base collector PN junction is reverse biased. Similarly, in the cutoff region, when the BJT in a common base configuration is in cutoff region, at that time the base emitter PN junction is reverse biased as well as the base collector PN junction is also reverse biased. In the case of the BJT in the common base configuration, when it is in saturation region, at that time the base emitter PN junction is forward biased and also the base collector PN junction is also forward biased. So both the PN junction, base emitter and base collector PN junctions are forward biased in the case of saturation region. So whatever biasing arrangement we have been making up till now, let's say in this figure, we were keeping the base emitter PN junction forward biased and the base collector PN junction reverse biased. Okay, in this figure also and in this figure also. So in these figures we were trying to bias the BJT to work in the active region. So this sort of arrangement of DC power supply's polarity will ensure that the BJT goes to the or it should be operating in the active region. So whatever biasing arrangements we have been making, we were doing it for the sake of keeping the BJT in the active region. And one more thing to be kept in mind, that the ICO current which we are referring to the minority current when the emitter terminal is open. In the case of common base configuration, whenever the IE is 0 and at that time whatever ICO current is there, whatever minority current ICO takes place to contribute to the collector current, we also refer to it as ICBO. So ICO is referred to ICBO in the case of common base configuration. So these currents are not different currents, but they are the same currents, ICBO or ICO. ICBO is only to point the fact that ICBO is the minority current in the case of common base configuration. This is the collector base current, collector base minority current in the case of common base configuration, and ICBO occurs when IE is equals to 0. So when IE is finite, let's say when IE is some positive value, then whatever collector current exists is in addition to this ICBO. So when IE is, let's say, 1 milliampere, then IC will be some IC majority plus ICBO. Then again, talking about the minority current ICO, or what we have been referring to it as ICBO in this common base configuration of the BJT, it is a reverse current due to the minority charge carriers. And for general purpose BJTs in the low and mid power usages, the magnitude of ICBO is so less that you can ignore its effect, or you can ignore it in the calculations made on the BJT analysis, especially with the latest construction techniques which are being used to manufacture the BJTs. But for high power units, the ICBO is still in microampere ranges. The ICO or ICBO is still in microampere ranges. Like any other reverse minority charge carrier current, it is very sensitive to temperature conditions. So at higher temperatures, it is most likely that ICBO increases so much that the normal operation of BJT may get disturbed.